In a story that we brought you last week about two pro-lifers who were brutally attacked outside of a Planned Parenthood business in Baltimore. One of those men, 73-year-old Mark Crosby, was taken to the hospital after he was punched and kicked in the face with extreme force, leaving him with a large hematoma as well as head and neck pain. Mr. Crosby's lawyer says that she has spoken with Baltimore City detectives about the incident that left blood on the sidewalks. So far, no arrests have been made. And joining us now is Olivia Summers, Senior Litigation Counsel for ACLJ. She is representing both of the men who were assaulted outside the Planned Parenthood in Baltimore. Olivia, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. For those who may not be familiar, can you tell us a little bit more about this incident and what exactly led up to this horrific assault?
Sure. So we're representing Mark Crosby and Dick Schaefer, and they regularly go down to the Planned Parenthood in Baltimore and stand out front. Mr. Schaefer is a sidewalk counselor. He talks to people about what abortion is and the other options that are available to them, including adoption and parenting. So he's down at the center outside of Planned Parenthood 5 days a week for about 2 hours every day. And Mr. Crosby goes down there, once in a while. I think he goes on Fridays, generally speaking. He's not a counselor or a protester or anything. He just stands out front and he'll hand out blessed rosaries to anybody who asks. So on this day, they were both outside of Planned Parenthood. They talked to one another briefly, kind of chatting on the sidewalk. And then they were approached by a guy who had a conversation with Mr. Schaefer. He was upset with them being down there and accused them of making people feel shame, and that said that they shouldn't be down there. They shouldn't stop women from going in to get abortions. And there's a brief exchange where Mr. Schaefer said, yes, like God forgives us. There is forgiveness for everybody, including people who have had abortions. But, these are babies. So the guy got progressively more angry, and then he attacked Mr. Schaefer, knocked him over into a concrete planter. Mr. Schaefer was knocked out. He was unconscious for a while. And then Mr. Crosby saw the incident occur and ran to help Mr. Schaefer. And in the process, this man turned on him, punched him, knocked him to the ground, punched him in the face, and then viciously kicked him in the head. And then he walked off.
Terrible. It's unbelievable. How's Mark doing now?
Mark is doing pretty well. He's in pretty good spirits for what happened. He and Mr. Crosby both had post-concussion syndrome. And then, of course, Mark had severe trauma to his face. He has a fractured plate in his face, which is going to need to be replaced. He was blind in his eye. He is recovering his eyesight, which is amazing. He's very happy about that. He has a couple fractured fingers and bruises all over his body. He looks terrible, to be quite frank, but he is in good spirits.
Yeah, I'm curious, is this assault, is it being classified as a hate crime? And as far as the investigation, what's the latest on that?
So this is still obviously in the beginning stages. We talked to the detectives. They did tell us that there's a possibility this will be investigated as of the attack and also the reason for the attack. So there is that possibility. And then, of course, we are looking at our own civil side of the claims that we can bring against the man.
Yeah, and how do you see this case playing out? What do you want to see come from it?
We want to see this man held accountable for his actions. This violence against these elderly men was not just unwarranted, but it was way beyond the pale. It's hard to watch. It's hard to see these kind of attacks, and we want to see this man held responsible for his actions, because it is not okay to go out there and attack anyone. And people who do this sort of thing should be held accountable. So whether that's through civil repercussions or, criminal repercussions, or both.
We have, Olivia, about a minute so we're left. But what type of impact do you think this may have for pro-lifers who pray outside of abortion clinics? I mean, what do you want to see happen from your case, and anything else you'd like our viewers to know about?
Sure, absolutely. I think this it's created concern for people who go outside, because this kind of violence and tension is escalated across the country. Obviously, we've seen pro-life clinics attacked, firebombed, spray painted. So we've seen this violence escalating against the pro-life movement. And I think there is concern that, people may be targets of this kind of violence, but it also, encourages people to go out there and make a difference as well. So there are these people who go out and stand in front of Planned Parenthood. They're staunch advocates for life, and they believe that, this is murder of unborn children, and they believe that these children are worth protecting. So they go out there and they stand firm to protect them. And of course, we want to see them be able to exercise their free speech and religious freedom rights, and we will stand firm with them in that. And of course, we want to let anybody know that if anything happens to them that's similar or not, we don't want anything to happen to them, but they can always reach out to us, and we're there to help.
All right, great. Olivia, thanks so much for talking to us. We appreciate it. We'll continue to follow this case and the story. Thank you. God bless.